Hello everyone, it's Lel, and in this video we're going to talk about episode 24 from Tropical-Rouge Precure, a highly anticipated episode, at least by me, and an episode that focused a lot on comedy, which was to be expected since we had a special guest in this episode who is a comedian, a Japanese comedian. I don't remember his name. He is part of a comedy trio called Panther, and he is one of the members, and he was playing himself in this episode, which was very nice, and I dare say, he is a handsome character in Tropical-Rouge. He's a handsome man in Tropical-Rouge, and I was expecting to see in this episode a little bit more on Asuka's and Yuriko's relationship, or maybe a hint as to what happened in their past. We didn't see nothing of that. And as I said, this episode focused a lot on comedy, and it focused on a specific type of comedy that is very common in Japanese shows. So I feel like sometimes we might not understand certain sense of humors based on cultures, and this might be one of the cases. But I still had a lot of laughs in this episode, especially with Manatsu. Manatsu had like incredible moments, and I was, as I said, I was expecting something. I didn't get it, and maybe because of this, I feel like this was a weird episode somehow. But there's another reason why I feel like this was a weird episode. In the preview images and even in the eye catch, we see Asuka. And so we see that Asuka has a lot of focus in this episode, or at least was supposed to have a lot of focus in this episode. This was not an Asuka solo episode, but I thought that she was gonna have a little bit more of the spotlight. And I feel like the other characters got more spotlight than her. Except for Lemaire, probably, or Laura, which was the one that didn't really shine in this episode. I feel like she was the one that was more in the background. And this is very interesting concerning Tropical-Rouge as a whole, because Laura is always the front runner of Tropical-Rouge. In this episode, she was not. She really took the back seat. But I feel like the other three characters, they were showcased more than Asuka. So when the girls were part of the talk show and the game and the contest to defend their position in the Tropical Club, they were all able to showcase their personalities in one way or another. For example, in the first game, Minori was the one to think of something and say, look, this is the right way for us to approach this. And so that's what she did. The same thing in the last one. Like, she was the one that remembered there was a button exhibition in the museum, so the girls had to go to the museum. So she is like the mastermind behind everything. There was another one of those little contests, little games they played, which was about wearing a lot of costumes. So Sango took the lead of that moment. So it was very nice to see her fashion sense, her magic touch in terms of fashion in that moment. And she was even going to be able to win if it wasn't for Manatsu and the fish earrings. Manatsu, girl. And there was also the fact that Sango was a very big fan of this talk show, which is something different from her personality. So it's nice to see that shining too. And obviously Manatsu being Manatsu in all of the games. So it was all very funny to watch Manatsu. Laura had her moment, and it was very nice that like she got the wrong answer because she was thinking of Grand Ocean, and you know, we at least learned a little bit more of Grand Ocean and one of the creatures from Grand Ocean, even though that big creature is not alive anymore. So Asuka, I was really waiting to see more of her character in this episode. And I feel like the only thing they gave her, which was something that was present throughout the whole episode, was the fact that she was really trying to win, and she was really giving it her all so that she was able to get the win to the Tropical Club so that the Tropical Club can keep on existing. And we could really see that both her and Yuriko were taking it one step further in this competition. We could see that they were giving it their best shot and they were trying their hardest. We could see at them at that moment of both of them running. And I really like Yuriko as a character, but it was very unfortunate to see her being prominent in a comedy episode like this, because she is a very serious character. And I do understand that sometimes serious characters can be very funny depending on the jokes. I don't think she was funny in this episode at all, but I feel like the type of character she is doesn't really combine very well with this type of narrative, if that makes sense. So her character really felt out of place, and I felt like she was unnecessarily mean, because that was the point of the episode, that was the point of the plot, and I don't know, it just felt kind of weird. So as I said, I feel like it was kind of unfortunate to see Asuka not really shining through an episode that was kind of designed for her. Like, we had her in the eye catch. She used her solo power during the fighting scene. So it was like, Asuka, it's your moment. But was it really? So I felt a little disappointed on this episode because of this. But there were obviously other great moments. When the girls started fighting, like the way the fight started and how Asuka tried to take the attention of the Yaraneda away from the others. She didn't succeed, but then the girls were able to transform and fight. And the fight, like, I'm gonna say, I say this every time, I'm gonna say this again. I am complaining about the Tropical-Rouge fights. Yes, I am. But I feel like this episode delivered at least a little bit. The fight was very short, but we could really see the girls fighting and using their powers. Like, all of them, Summer doesn't have a specific power of her own, but, you know, she was able to go and try to fight, and then Coral was able to use her shield, and her shield actually worked. Papaya was able to use the eye beams, and Flamingo was able to use her solo power. It's nice. Like, they can't defeat the monsters anymore with their solo attacks, but it's nice to see that. And so, like, one moment for each of the girls in the fighting scene, and it was very dynamic, very cool, like, better than the usual Tropical-Rouge fights. So that's a plus for this episode. And the best scene of the episode for me was Numeri coming back from her vacation, and her voice was soothing. So she just sang a song so that the Zeta Yaraneda could fight. Like, that was so random, and I loved that so much. That was my favorite moment of this episode. And, you know, at the end of the day, so, like, when the Tropical Club won the competition, I was like, okay, so they called Asuka to speak on behalf of the Tropical Club, since she is the leader of the club. And I was like, okay, this is her moment. She is gonna speak. She is gonna showcase her personality. No, she didn't. She didn't even speak. She didn't say anything. But it was nice that she was interrupted by Sungo. Because Sungo, I feel like Sungo is the most shafted girl of Tropical-Rouge, and it was nice to see her shining in this episode. It was nice to see her stealing the moment away from someone else, because she never does it. And the way she did it in this episode was so endearing. I love it. And it was very cute. And like, oh my god, I'm such a big fan of this show and everything else, blah, blah, blah. I loved it. And I also liked Manatsu, you know, saying the good things about the school, which was what created the conflict in the first place at the start of the episode, and, you know, creating a little bit of a connection with Yuriko as well. Another nice thing about this episode, at least for me, was the visual part of how they represented, like, the girls inside a TV show with the TV effect. That was very nice. I really liked that. Like, creative, and it changes the dynamic of the show a little bit visually, so it's entertaining. And yeah, that was it. I was waiting for more Asuka. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. But okay, I'm happy. I mean, Minori was there in lots of places being Minori, so I love that. She's my favorite. But still, we deserve more Asuka. We also deserve more Sungo, but I feel like Sungo was able to shine through this episode. Now, next week in episode 25, we're going to have the teacher, and her father is coming to Aozora City, and she's going to be very nervous because she needs to be the best teacher ever for him, and so like she needs to be like a responsible person, a responsible adult. So I'm excited to see how those things will go. This teacher was kind of prominent in the first few episodes, then she disappeared. Now it seems she's coming back. So I'm curious. Anyways, what was your opinion towards episode 24? Leave in the comment box, let's keep talking about it. Anyways, I want to take this little time to thank the members of the Magical Cinnamon channel. If you are a member, thank you very, very much for your support, for believing in Magical Cinnamon as well. If you've watched up until now, thank you so much as well. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, bye bye!